happens when a community loses its voice? Not the loud voices shouting from screens hundreds or even thousands of miles away, but the ones that know your name. The one that shows up on your street. What happens when the stories closest to us are the ones we stop paying attention to? Without even noticing, we begin to lose connection.
I just wanted to start a happy little newspaper. Because how do you know your community unless you're A, just really involved in it, or B, you're educating yourself on it. And that's what you're doing. You're educating yourself on where you live, on things that are gonna affect you, maybe not tomorrow, maybe next month, maybe 5 years from now. This is here today because that happened back here, that type of thing.
When I started with South Dakota News Media Association back in 1995, we had 142 members, 142 newspapers, and a digital news outlet was really not a thing at that time. Today we have 105 members. So we've lost over the years several newspapers, community newspapers. Some of it's been due to just the community itself has gotten smaller and changed and so forth. And in other instances, it's been driven by all these economic forces that are putting pressure on local community journalism, not just here in South Dakota, but across the country as well. And so it's just been a challenge to deal with some of these trends where, number one, like I said, getting information and news for free, the expectation that you can just go anywhere online and not have to pay for it, that's a pressure that community newspaper publishers face as well. But main streets have changed. The traditional mom and pop shops that were the longtime advertisers in these newspapers, grocery stores, hardware stores, farm implements and so forth, that has changed as well. It's tragic when a community loses its newspaper. I mean, from my perspective, as someone who's been in journalism forever, and because you lose that local storyteller who's there to capture the moments when the local high school team wins the tournament, or the graduation photos, or the local nonprofit fair that's happening and telling those stories. But also, who's there to cover school board and city council meetings to keep local residents informed about what's happening locally in government as well, and sort of have that watchdog role. And when that's gone, it has an impact on community, it really does, because without good information, without people being informed about what's happening in the community, it's hard to make good informed decisions as citizens within the community. And in a democracy, that's what you need. You need informed citizens who can know what's going on so that they can help lead to a better and sustainable community. And so a newspaper plays a very important role in that. And when you don't have that, it creates that vacuum, I believe. Yes, there's Facebook, people can share information on there, and to some degree that works, but to some degree it doesn't, because there's a lot of crap on Facebook as well. And so some of it's not verified and not truth-telling.
We had the community in the newspaper. And that, I'm sure, ran in at the time, it was 6,000 or 8,000 people. They didn't want to lose that Valley Springs paper because that gave them a taste of what a newspaper could do for them. Well, then when we come in, it was fantastic. I didn't have an editor at that time. I was the editor, and we just kind of covered whatever we could cover and get it on the front page. We were not worried about wars in Vietnam and wars in this and that. We didn't get political. It wasn't a Republican newspaper, Democrat newspaper. It was none of this garbage we put up with today. It was strictly down home what's going on, and I love you. It was just a beautiful way of life. Small town papers struggle every day. That's just part of the industry. It's just tough. You got to be pretty frugal to make it work.
Just the little things make a big difference. I think we've all said it a lot of times. Brandon is a city on the grow, but it still has this small town feeling. And so when I rolled in here 21 years ago, and as the years went by, it's like, this is where I belong. I've lived in several different communities in my life, and every time I'm in one of those communities, it's near and dear to me because A, I know a lot about our communities, a lot about our people. I think anybody who's lived here has been part of Brandon and Valley Springs and our school district knows how special it is. And so when my position came to an end at the Challenger years ago, I had offers to go work somewhere else. And but I knew what I wanted to do. I knew I wanted to stay here. I didn't want to leave. I loved what I was doing, but it got taken away from me. And then people in this community, once again, believed in me and wanted us to have a real community newspaper. The Brandon Valley Journal was started, honestly, by this community. Local people here invested in this business to help me get this started. And they've been there different times to help me keep this rolling.
The truth is, the newspaper industry may be fading. Not because it failed, but because everything changes. Technology moves, culture shifts, and the way we gather information evolves. We adapt, we move forward. But change always comes with a cost. For decades, Jill Meier has paid attention. Long before it was easy or convenient, week after week, story after story, she has shown up to record what matters. The games, the businesses, and the people building something worth remembering. Not for recognition, but because someone should care enough to write it down, to tell it clearly and to tell it truthfully. But even the most faithful work has its limits. Costs rise, bills come due, and eventually the question comes, is it worth it? Does this still matter to anyone else? There came a moment when continuing wasn't guaranteed. Not because the story stopped, but because the support did. So Jill did something she never set out to do. She created a GoFundMe and asked the community, if this matters, will you help carry it? And the community answered. People gave, they subscribed, they showed up again. Not just for a newspaper, but for what it represents. A way of seeing each other, a way of staying connected, a way of remembering that this place, these people, and these stories still matter.
Well, last week it came into my mind. Unfortunately, when funds were low and I just really didn't know what to do, and obviously put a plea out to my community who has stepped up to the plate beyond expectations. And but yeah, there is that reality, and it's not just my newspaper, it's other newspapers across the state. And we saw that last year where some communities had papers and then the next day they didn't. And thank goodness, a family-owned newspaper group came in and saw the value of these weekly communities to keep them vibrant as well. So it could, there's always that possibility that it could be the last paper. I hope not during my career. I hope I'm standing here someday when that final paper that I do have my name on does roll off that press, and then I'm handing this off to somebody else that's going to take it and run with it.
So what I think local journalism does is it brings to life, the real stories right here at home. And I think that's important. It's I often tell our students that there isn't a perfect family. And the minute you think that you have to be perfect, it's unachievable. So we all learn through our mistakes, and I think social media plays a huge role in that, thinking that, putting out the perception that there is perfection out there when it doesn't really exist. So I really harp on that, but I think to spin it back to local journalism, telling our own stories in our own way and celebrating people right in our community, that's real. And that's building a better community on a daily basis and weekly basis.
It's amazing when you think of all the hours that it takes to produce a newspaper, and you saw how relatively short of a time it takes for them to roll that off the press. But it's a sigh of relief every week, obviously, especially when I tell Kim, hey, take that last page away. But it's also so rewarding when they deliver these papers to our newspaper office every week, and then you see what you've done, and people are excited and they're telling you about things that they read and we're excited to read about. So yeah, a day like press day is it's just a culmination of a lot of hours. Well, I'm a little old school. I like a newspaper in my hand, and I do read some newspapers online, but I still am old school. I like the feel of that paper in my hand, and there's just something about sitting down with your cup of coffee and checking out to see how it all came together, because as you're looking at it on the computer, it's always different when it's in print, but it's still special. It's still special. The next step from the press is going to the post office and going to the newsstands. It's a heavy load.
If people are not informed, then obviously they're not going to show up and support things. And whether that is on a city level, whether that's school functions, promotions going on at our local businesses, we really survive on the support of our community, and it's hard to support something if you're not aware of it. I think if people are unaware or not engaged, you really lose that connection with one another. As a community, you lose that connection with your businesses. So I think it's vital that people stay connected and informed.
If you don't know what's going on, how can you be part of your community? I talk to a lot of people that say, I'm not on Facebook, so they don't see those things. But if they're just looking at the paper, or even our shopper for that instance, these are local merchants, local organizations trying to get their word out, trying to get their mission out. We're that communicator of our community. I mean, we're telling you when things are good, we're telling you when things are bad. We're sharing really cool stories about really cool people in our community, or things that they're doing, new businesses. I mean, how exciting was it for us to be able to announce Culver's is coming? I mean, that is exciting, as was every other business that we've ever had the ability to say, guess who's coming to town? And people love that stuff. They want to know more. Sometimes it's a job opportunity. Sometimes it's maybe somebody else that an organization can get some help from. Maybe it's a donation, those types of things. That's probably one of the things I'm very proud of, is that this is a true community newspaper. People in this community invested in it, continue to invest in it, and it's even gone broader, obviously, now with subscribers and advertisers.
If it wasn't for Jill Meier's commitment to her community and her people, this paper wouldn't have a chance. She puts in so many hours. I mean, she's just literally the Brandon Valley paper. Jill Meier got involved in Brandon to build a newspaper, and she did it. And she's done a phenomenal job. Jill knew what she was doing.
Brandon Valley Journal, this is Jill.
I believe that Jill especially just has a way of capturing people in moments, and without those shared memories, I think our community would really miss something special that makes Brandon a special place to be.
In this day and age where you don't know what's real and sometimes and what's not, being able to be authentic as a communicator, as a journalist, and be authentic in terms of how you receive and consume information and news is vital. And that's and all the more reason why we need to be more media literate and aware about, where we're getting our information, how we're getting our information, and what we do with that information once we have it.
When they write about it and cover these great projects like this, it leads to conversations at the kitchen table. And, then it might be a hey, maybe you should take that class, or maybe you should consider doing something like that. And this is just one of many projects that we do with respect to us as a whole as a school. And I would just say I rely heavily on the great things that we do, and having Jill and Tom and all the at the Brandon Valley Journal covering it. And we need them, and they just do such a great job of showcasing us and our kids.
A strong community does not happen by accident. It is built by people who pay attention, who tell the stories, who refuse to let what matters disappear. And maybe that is the question still in front of us. Will we be the kind of people who notice and keep noticing?
This is what happened. Awareness. It wasn't just the money coming in. It was the awareness. We had, like I said, we gained new subscribers. We have people calling us and emailing us now saying, hey, I want to advertise. Oh, I should have advertised before, but I want to advertise now. I hope it's awareness for all of the little communities or communities that have weeklies that they want their paper, they appreciate their paper. Maybe they don't need their paper every week for an advertisement, those types of things. But I hope it's awareness for those communities as well. And that's what we need to do. We just need to support each other. And that's what's come out of this. Was it humbling? People told me I was brave. I don't know if I felt brave, if I felt desperate. It was a little bit of both. But I didn't know if I could make my payroll that next week, pay the printer, pay the post office. They aren't just gonna let me float for a long, long time. This community, our readers, people that blew me out of the park. I mean, so many anonymouses, unbelievable. But yeah, it's been pretty amazing. It's been pretty amazing.
The next generation is much smarter than we sometimes give them credit for in terms of what's coming up, because they're having to deal with AI in ways that are just emerging now. But where that type of technology, particularly AI, leads down the road, God only knows, and I worry about it. But I think future generations are going to sort through that in ways that we can't really comprehend or understand right now. That's my optimistic point of view. And so I hope that leads them to realize that sense of community is still important. You need that. You need to go off factual information. You need to know what's right and what's true. And if they have that basis, then we'll be okay, right? And I'd like to think that we'll get there. We'll be okay despite these challenges that we're in today. Misinformation gets spread so quickly, and what is true and what's not. All the more reason why local journalism just remains so vital, so vitally important today and tomorrow. And I'd like to think that it'll survive, it'll be sustainable. What it looks like, how it works, how it's supported economically, I don't know. I mean, that's to be figured out, I think, by generations to come. But I still have that optimism that it'll happen, that we'll get there.
I heard about the call to action with regards to some fundraising opportunities for the paper. And I felt like there's something that I could do about that. So this is my family, this is my community. And so I feel like if I'm gonna live here and I'm gonna reap the benefits of everything that the city has to offer, I felt like I could do something to support our local paper, because that paper is a vital avenue for us understanding what's happening in the city, whether it's the city council or whether it's the school district and some of the challenges they face, or sports, or even the unsung heroes of the community that do things that inspire people. I just felt like I could do something. So I thought of it as a call to action. I think of this as my family, as my community, and I wanted to do something, and I like writing. And so I felt like I could truly attract people in a way that maybe other people didn't think about it through what I would write. And I'm proud to be able to offer that, because I don't want to really sit on the sidelines. I feel like too many people sit on the sidelines, and we need to have a call of action so that we can represent our community before it's too late. In a world of constant notifications, national outrage, and headlines that feel distant from our daily lives, there is something powerful about opening the Brandon Valley Journal and reading about our community. Not Washington, not Wall Street, but Brandon, South Dakota. Our local paper captures the moments that shape our community. City council decisions that impact our neighborhoods, school achievements that spotlight our students, small businesses taking bold steps forward, local sports, and neighbors who quietly serve without ever seeking recognition. These stories may never trend nationally, they may never go viral, but they are the heartbeat of Brandon, South Dakota. A local paper is more than ink and headlines. It's our historical record. It's an accountability in action. It's a bridge between local citizens and city leadership. It reminds us who we are and what we stand for. Long after social media posts disappear, the Brandon Valley Journal remains.
Documenting milestones, preserving memories, and keeping us informed.
If we lose our local paper, we lose more than a publication. We lose part of our shared identity. To the owners, editors, and staff, please know that your work matters. You help keep our community informed, connected, and engaged. In an era when local journalism is disappearing across the country, your commitment is not small, it is courageous. And to my fellow residents, supporting the Brandon Valley Journal is not just about buying a subscription. It's about investing in transparency. It's about championing our schools, our businesses, and our local government. It's about ensuring our children grow up in a community where the stories that shape them are told with integrity and care. Strong communities do not happen by accident. They are built by informed citizens who care enough to stay connected. Let's choose to support the voices that tell our story. Brandon Strong. Sincerely, Brett Bastian, Brandon, South Dakota.
What does it mean to be Brandon Strong? Yes, we show up to local sports games and fun things like the Loyalty Day Parade, but how much community life happens outside of those things? Maybe being Brandon Strong isn't about the grand gestures, but rather it's paying attention to the small, everyday things, like actually getting to know your neighbor instead of just saying hello. Because the truth is, no one's gonna do this for us. No one's gonna come to tell our stories, to remember what matters, and to hold on to the things that actually last. That's on us. You just watch what it looks like when someone is dedicated to sharing those moments. Jill's heart for Brandon is exactly why Degaje started right here, the first story in the Good People Project series. It is our mission to make a way for truth, beauty, and goodness to be seen and heard throughout the world. And this is where it starts, right here in our hometown. This is Brandon Strong.